Hello, Craig.
Hello, Colin.
We are talking about a recent MCU movie, and by recent, I mean it just came out. As of this recording, the movie came out yesterday, which was Friday. We're talking about Spider-Man Brand New Day, Craig. Now, with all that being said, Craig, just tell me, what did you think of Spider-Man Brand New Day?
I thought it was fine, good, definitely an improvement, which is not that hard to do at this point.
I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Let me preface and say that I did not like the previous two Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland. I did not like Spider-Man Far From Home, and I really didn't like Spider-Man No Way Home.
What?
So this felt like a breath of fresh air. And yes, it still has its own issues, but I'm glad they did away with a lot of the things that I never really liked about the Tom Holland movies. So this is a step in the right direction.
Yes, well, like I said, it's not that hard to make a step in the right direction, but I'm glad
This
they
is
still
true.
made the effort.
Yeah. It's overstuffed. It honestly faces a lot of the same issues as, let's say, a Superman did with James Gunn from last year, which I think I actually might prefer this over Superman. I don't know if that's controversial to say. I do
See,
like Spider-Man as a character more than Superman, but
I do too, but it's hard for me to like all these recent adaptations when most of them have desecrated the character, like the Spider-Verse movies and Tom Holland's last two.
to Tom Holland's credit, I thought he was pretty good in this. They kind of swept away all of the juvenile, I know he's a kid, but all the dumb humor. They kind of got rid of that. And I know someone could say, oh, the dumb humor is part of Spider-Man's character. I think there's a difference between being witty and clever and dumb humor. And the Tom Holland jokes were more in the dumb humor category, at least to me. And
And
before you say
cringe.
anything, Craig, yes, and cringe. This is going to be littered with spoilers. So spoilers from here on out, because obviously Marvel was really hiding who the main villain was. And it turns out it's Jean Grey, which I don't know how you feel about that, because I know this kind of is another issue of Spider-Man's not fighting Spider-Man villains, but I can understand that they don't want to retread some of the previous villains, and they kind of dug themselves in the hole because they literally brought back previous villains from other movies in No Way Home. So I didn't mind Jean Grey in this. And to be fair, my familiarity with Jean Grey is from Marvel Twin Alliance and the X-Men movies of the 2000s, and she was always a flatline in those movies, so I didn't mind Jean Grey. I'm not too familiar with the X-Men comics. I think I do have one of the Marvel Essentials, and that's only for Cyclops because he's my favorite X-Men. But I know next to nothing about Jean Grey other than how they butchered the Phoenix storyline a bunch of times.
Well, I wanted to mention that the whole hiding the reveal of Jean Grey was getting kind of annoying. It was so obvious that she was Jean Grey from the beginning. When you
Yes.
cast a redhead females aren't that common. You've got a couple in the Marvel that stick out when it comes to mind, MJ, and obviously we have a version of MJ in the story, Jean Grey. And there's
hmm
probably some other characters, but they're not as famous. Those are probably the two most well known. So you've
And
got
they
two
already
choices.
announced that they were going to be doing the X-Men. I think either a little bit before this or before the trailer came out, so everyone kind of knew that, all right, well, who's it going to be? It's probably Jean Grey, because it wouldn't make sense if it's Mary Jane. I think this is Michelle something. Michelle Joanne, Michelle Jane, I don't know. This isn't the traditional MJ, this is another MJ for the Tom Holland movies.
Yes, and I know in the trailers too, they showed a form of mind manipulation, taking control of the person's mind. So you've got a redhead, telekinesis or telekinetic powers.
hmm
I wonder what Marvel character has those two things that it could be.
It's
Now,
Storm.
it's not that the reveal was this great reveal. I just don't understand why they were trying to hide it so much. If you go online, people were trying to twist themselves saying, no, it can't be Jean Grey. It's too obvious. And I was quite the opposite, saying it's so obvious. There's no reason to even pretend otherwise. Why go through?
Yeah.
And I know there's something to do with the movie, but at some point they're trying so hard to hide it because they want people to be surprised. And anybody who knows anything about Marvel would probably say, oh, that's Jean Grey.
Well, I'm going to start with some of my positives because I like the way the movie was directed. It's directed by someone different than the previous three. This was, I think, Daniel something Cretton? Destin
Or
Daniel.
Daniel?
No. Destin Daniel Cretton, who did Shang-Chi. So this felt like a breath of fresh air in terms of the directing department because the past three, or I should say the Tom Holland trilogy, all felt so bland. And I know a lot of people make fun of the CGI, and especially I was rewatching clips from Far From Home, and the CGI and the blue screen, how everything was so flat, looked terrible. And this one looked like a movie where they took the time and effort to light things properly. They had a clear vision of how they wanted to do everything. So I applaud them on that because the movie looked great. And I liked, even to a novice of Spider-Man, I could tell which ones were ripped out of the comic books. The comic book panels in the beginning montage of the movie, they have the tarantula where he's swiping at Spider-Man and they're like on a boat or something. They had the one of the Amazing Fantasy where he's
number 15.
Number 15, he's right off that panel. I thought that was really cool. So
those are the shots for the fans. Oh, here's the splash page.
Yeah, that's cool. I thought that was nice. I like the spider suit in this too. And I know as this recording, our Amazing Spider-Man 2 review hasn't come out yet, but we recorded it, and I talked about how I liked that suit and how it looked loose. And this one too, it looked loose because the other Tom Holland movies, when it was a CG suit, it was so skin tight, but then when it's actually him in a suit, very little times it was, you could tell it's a real suit because it wrinkles and stuff. So this suit looked good in terms of just when he's wearing it and the CG, and you could actually see his eyes through the little lens pieces on his spider suit.
I did like the change because I know some people like the bigger eyes. I like the smaller eyes that this one had. I know they had in other movies, but I still like the smaller eyes, the color for it. So it's definitely one of the best suits in my opinion.
Yes, I love the suit. It was pretty good. I think they pulled this from the video game, the Spider-Man PlayStation, did they? I could be making that up. I have no idea.
I know they mentioned that they drew inspiration for it from, I think, the way he moved and some of the action.
The attacks, yeah.
Which I don't know why they're pulling from that game. Was that even a good game?
I never played it. A lot of people like the Insomniac, right? The Insomniac Spider-Man games. I never played those, so I can't say. But I have seen that meme where it's, "Please, Spider-Man, I'm just a single mother struggling for food," and he sends this woman up in the air, and then he kicks her in the back of the skull.
It's like Batman, but not as violent.
I didn't mind the Punisher in this, because I know when we talked about Daredevil, I didn't really like the Punisher, and the movie did. I guess they did this for laughs, if I'm being honest. When the Punisher is shooting at the Hulk, he's like, "Ah!" He's like making these noises, and there's no way that they weren't doing that for laughs. It's too obvious. It actually made me laugh when the Punisher's
at some point. It's not even bravery; it's just stupidity. Charging with the Hulk, and all you've got is a gun. I know this has nothing to do with the story, but I find it funny that Yelena was telling Spider-Man that, "Oh, you're small potatoes. We deal with big potato stuff." It's like, all you do is shoot people. And then you got the Punisher. All he does is shoot people. Why is he small potatoes, but you're not?
Well, yes, Yelena's in the movie for a little cameo. And
did you see how that scene got leaked before, but they didn't give the context of what happened in the scene, which would have made it sound better? They said in the scene, or Kevin Feige or someone said that Yelena will see Peter and Peter will see her naked in the movie. Everyone's like, what is the context for that? That sounds incredibly weird. And now that when you see that they were in some sort of bathhouse, like, okay, I guess that's still weird, but slightly better in context.
Yeah.
Imagine telling people that with no context.
Yeah, that was a little weird, though, the small potatoes thing. And it seems like, again, I don't know what the timeline is, because I think I said to you in the theater, when does this take place? Is this after Kingpin got defeated? Is this before? That's why I think...
I have the timeline, if you're curious.
Okay, in 2 seconds. That's why I think for the TV shows, it should be more small scale things, because when you have a big event like Daredevil, the end of season 1, Daredevil Born Again, where the Kingpin pretty much takes a hold of the city, there are so many heroes in New York that would directly affect, that you can't do that. And then this one acts like none of that ever happened at all. So when does this take place,
there's no
Greg?
mention of... Well, actually, before I answer that, no, in Daredevil season 2, that woman that was helping Fisk, I think she's the new mayor, his second in command. Yeah. I think she gave him the key to the city, so there is some continuity. But you're asking when it takes place. So Daredevil Born Again season 1 and 2 takes place in 2027. Thunderbolts takes place in 27. Punisher One Last Kill takes place in 27, which I did not watch. And then Brand New Day takes place in 28.
Interesting. Okay. And they all came back from the snap in 2023.
I thought it was 24.
Is it? Was it 5 years?
Yeah, because I think 20...
No, I thought it was 2023 because Infinity War takes place in 18. And then 5 years later be 2023, which is Endgame.
Yes.
Okay, so 2028 this movie takes place. Interesting.
Because part of it is weird when some movies take place like right after, and some movies take place years later.
Right.
For example, Far From Home took place in
2023.
No, 24, because then right after that, or maybe it's 23.
Yeah, it's 23.
I know right
as
after
soon as
that,
they came back. Yeah, he got doxxed by Mysterio. Well, that's my big thing that I want to talk about that I did like that this movie did was they removed entirely the Tony Stark. They can't milk him anymore.
There's no Happy.
There's no Happy. There's no connection to Stark, and I am so happy because we've been calling him since 2019 because one of our first videos was Far From Home on this program. We've been calling him Iron Lad Jr. for that long, and for all that time, it was true. Stark was his sugar daddy, Mr. Stark, Mr. Stark. He was fighting Stark villains. He had a Stark MacGuffin box that could create cures for villains. So they very wisely removed all that garbage. And Spider-Man now has his own identity for the time being. And I am very happy that they did that. And I'm not overly happy because to me that's something that's supposed to be obvious. Make Spider-Man his own thing. Don't have him be latched to another character. Because Spider-Man, as all of the box office projections, this is opening weekend still, Spider-Man can sustain himself. And everybody wants to see a Spider-Man movie, so you don't need that draw of him being with Iron Man.
He's bigger than Iron Man.
He is way bigger than Iron Man. I told you and Daniel on Thursday morning, I think, I saw a thing that said from the previews alone on this movie, maybe it was Friday morning, this grossed $72 million from previews alone, which is insane. That broke a record. And I think this broke another record with the box office where it sets an all-time, sets all-time first day high with $168 million in one day. In one day. And it could break Endgame's $357 million weekend record domestically. So,
and another thing we forget to mention is the last movie, No Way Home, almost made $2 billion. Yes. People say Marvel's in their flop era, and that's mostly true, except for Spider-Man.
Spider-Man is the only surefire hit, because you can't even say that Batman is, and you can't say that about Superman at all, because Superman has had some flops. And, I mean, the Batman kind of disappointed a little bit financially. That, I think, got under $800 million. So, yeah, Spider-Man's the only one that's racking in the big bucks.
We didn't like Far From Home. That made $1 billion too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really the only surefire thing they have right now.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta say, though, I thought I would have been more annoyed with John Bernthal as the Punisher, but I actually didn't mind him too much in this movie. Because I always think the Punisher, and I know Punisher has a lot of fans, I think he's incredibly lame. I don't care about Punisher. I could care less that he's some psychopath that runs around and shoots people to death. But I thought he kind of was good in this. I'm very surprised.
Yeah, it worked well enough for the movie.
Yeah, and I especially like the part, and then we'll get to some of the negatives, and then probably back to the positives. I like the part where, because the whole thing is, this is after the spell that Peter had Doctor Strange do, where everyone forgot about who he was, and he goes up to MJ, and MJ reads his little letter, because for 4 years, he's been planning to talk to her and tell her what happened, and then she just says, I don't know who you are. I understand you had these feelings for me, but that's not what this is anymore. This is all so different, and I don't love you. Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch. Yeah. But I think that is the essence of Spider-Man.
My only minor gripe with that scene, it could have been better, but then she turns it into, it's not your decision to make, to not tell me. And I don't really think you can argue that. It kind of is his decision because he has the memories. You have no idea.
He has the burden of knowledge. Or he's burdened with knowledge with this.
Yeah, so when she was saying that, I'm like, please don't say that. It's ruining the scene a bit.
I will say that, yeah. That was a little weird that she was saying that, but then it does end with her saying, I don't love you. And then he has to sadly swing her back to the apartment.
If she was just saying, I don't love you, I'm sorry for what happened, but I don't remember you. That would have been fine. That would have been a good scene, but I just didn't like that one little thing of, it's not your decision. I hate when people say stuff like that.
It felt very reminiscent when he's just swinging all sad. Do you remember Superman Returns, where Superman's spying on Lois and she tells James Marsden that she doesn't love Superman anymore, and he just flies away very sad, and he hears the Marlon Brando voice.
Even though you've been raised as a human being, you are not one of them.
It felt kind of reminiscent of that, which is a good thing.
And it's what you would expect. She doesn't know him, so how could she really love him?
Yeah.
Because it's not even the gut punch, that's how it is. He had in his head all these memories.
What was that?
Drop my mic.
Oh.
he in his head has all these memories of her. He's been essentially isolating himself. So it's not just memories, but also the idealized version of that he probably has of her in his head. So he's got a very warped perception. She's just, there's this creepy guy writing me love letters. I'm sorry for what happened, but typical Spider-Man.
Spider-Man is never happy, Craig.
He can be happy, but there's always
a short-term
catch or something.
happiness.
He's supposed to not suffer too much.
I don't think I was surprised. I don't know if you were surprised. I don't think you were either. That guy from Damage Control, from the very beginning, is very obviously the bad guy. Because as soon as he was talking about, oh, the hand can be reformed. Because again, I see the trailers. I didn't watch every trailer, but I saw the first one. And I'm thinking, well, he's going to fight the hand at some point. There's going to be a betrayal. There's going to be something that makes him fight the hand, especially when you go out of your way and you say, they're reformed, see?
Yeah, that definitely threw me for a loop.
Oh, you were surprised?
I was a little, because I didn't really follow much of this movie. Because I remember back in the heyday, we would follow MCU storylines or plots and leaks. I didn't follow anything. I just assumed maybe Jean Grey would be controlling them. Although I did think that guy was the bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah. So what'd you think of Jean Grey?
So I know people are upset that they're using her as a villain, and that's not really the problem I have. It's the fact that she has a lot of irredeemable things just to kind of get away with it scot-free. Because you could understand her gripe trying to find her sister, but she doesn't go about it in a way that's very sympathetic by killing innocent civilians.
Right. She took control of that one guy who got hit by a car. That got a chuckle out of me.
This is why people fear the X-Men and why they're rightfully persecuted.
What I was going to say is that I know it's Jean Grey. She is an X-Man and she's a hero, right? But maybe this new iteration, well, this is a younger Jean Grey too. So she's more angsty, but I didn't really care to sympathize with her. Like I understood, and maybe people are too attached to sympathetic villains. Sometimes I just like someone doing bad things because they want to. And I think Marvel has grown so accustomed, maybe the Marvel fans have grown so accustomed to just latching on and liking sympathetic villains. I don't mind a change of villains every now and then, that they're not all sympathetic. Not every villain can be sympathetic. They're all psychopaths for the most part. Now, whether or not they handle Jean Grey well is another discussion, but I didn't really care for her to be sympathetic, or if she wasn't. We have Loki, they made sympathetic. Thanos, I'm sure Namor, I haven't seen that, but it's just the trend for Marvel. So a break of trend is good.
I know, like you're saying, because we know she's a hero, we're more likely to sympathize with her, but if you were to watch the movie and know nothing about Jean Grey, you would think that she's a monster. And I was thinking too, if she was in prison trying to get out, wrongfully in prison for being a mutant or whatever term they want to throw around, something else where you could see maybe why she's a little aggressive, because she's trying to get out. She's wrongfully in prison. She's free to leave. She's free to do whatever she wants. She's making these conscious decisions of her own free will as a free person to go kill these people. I know she's trying to find her sister. That's on paper a righteous cause, but she's hurting a bunch of innocent people to get to that.
Well, I guess you could say she's so blinded by revenge that she has one goal, and it's the tunnel vision effect.
I know people say that, but I have to imagine we were that age too, and I don't think I was ever that bad.
You know, Craig, I never had superpowers like that where I could do things.
Neither did I, but I would like to think that I would never be that bad.
Well, I guess most people can't relate because her sister was taken away and was eventually killed for being a mutant. And Damage Control was preparing themselves to turn against Spider-Man, because at the end they had the weapons that could go through his mechanical web shooters.
Yes, but my point is, she was hurting a bunch of innocent civilians, like the guy jumping in front of the car to get to her goal. If she was hurting just Damage Control, then you could say,
yeah, I
understand
understand
sympathy for it. But
I don't care if she was sympathetic or not.
I'm trying to say,
sympathetic villains.
If you want to make her sympathetic, you could have adjusted the story, adjusted her actions to paint her in a more sympathetic light, as opposed to.
Did they even want to do that though? Did they want to do that? Maybe this Jean Grey is a bad egg from the start. Maybe that's their interpretation of her.
Maybe Marvel just thinks if a woman can get into your mind, she's a bad person, because same thing with Scarlet Witch. She's also became evil because she went crazy.
Right. Maybe she's just a bad apple from the start. I don't know. We'll have to see what they do with the X-Men.
See, I guess we could skip to the end credits scene. I really thought that they were going to have a 90-year-old Patrick Stewart welcome her to the X-Mansion.
Well, when we're done talking about the movie, we'll talk about the future of Marvel for a little bit.
No, because she's going to join the X-Men, presumably. So I thought maybe we would see 90-year-old Patrick Patrick Stewart.
Well, I don't know how everything is going to go because from after what Kevin Feige said, then we'll get back to the movie. So I want to save this for the end, Craig. From what Kevin Feige said, his wise words is that after Secret Wars is a reset of the MCU. So they're not going to go through this trouble of casting Stranger Things girl as Jean Grey just to recast her again. So there's going to be something that's weird that's going to happen after Secret Wars where there's going to be like a whole reset. Or maybe there's not. Maybe he's just lying. I have no idea.
I don't know. We'll talk about it later. But I was
yeah.
in my head laughing. A 90-year-old Patrick Stewart welcome her to the X Mansion.
That poor guy. What are some things he didn't like, Craig?
There's not a lot that I didn't like. It's just stuff that it didn't grab me as much. It doesn't grab me like the Raimi trilogy does. And this is something, I guess, a complaint, but I don't like when there's always these huge passages of time and these new characters are thrown in, like he's best friends with Detective Jean DeWolf. It just feels, well, part of it is with these huge cinematic universes, so much stuff happens off screen and all these characters come and go. And you kind of wish you see more of the stuff on screen. It's more of the point.
But the point of that in the beginning was that they're not really friends. They're more just workers because he didn't even know her children's names. And it was a mutual thing where it was clearly just a work relationship.
No. I get that part, but now he's friends with the Punisher. You kind of wish you would see how they would meet as opposed to.
I didn't really mind that.
Well, for me, I'd like to see more of the stuff on screen. I hate when so much time passes. You're wondering, why are they here? Why is this happening? I know the audience can infer it, and I'm not dumb enough. I can infer it, but I just wish more stuff would happen on screen.
Didn't bother me. I think it just makes sense that they have a history because they're in the same area. It's not like it's Spider-Man and, I don't know, Squirrel Girl. So, something crazy and they're best friends for years. They're in the same area.
Okay, they're in the same area, but this is probably the first time they've interacted because they weren't in any of the Netflix shows and they weren't in any other movies or his one special.
Yeah, I wonder what Spider-Man was doing during that. Well, when does that Punisher special take place again?
27.
Oh, okay. I'm honestly surprised Spider-Man just doesn't kill Punisher himself because he is a menace.
If Daredevil's gone close to killing him. See, now, where's Daredevil and all? I guess he's in jail right now.
Well, I remember at the trailer when Peter's in the jail fighting the Hand, people are like, ooh, Daredevil's going to fight, or Daredevil's going to break out and help fight with Spider-Man. And I'm glad that didn't happen because there's already a decent amount of reoccurring characters in this. And I'm glad it didn't become another No Way Home where it was just constant cameos and just nostalgia references. So I'm glad it didn't go that route. I'm glad there's no Daredevil in it. And there's no awkward pause when he introduces himself in No Way Home just so the audience could cheer.
I was surprised that he wasn't even mentioned, though.
Yeah. Part of me wishes that Spider-Man was just in his own universe. Because I know the comics, everyone is in everyone's business. But there's something great about the Raimi movies that they were just all isolated and self-contained. And that Spider-Man was the only hero.
Well, Doctor Strange.
Oh, yeah. That's taken.
Doctor Strange.
That's pretty good. But it's taken.
Yeah, that's right. What about Green Meanie? It's Superman, too. At least Superman comics.
Yeah.
But that's just a me thing.
Fair. Yeah.
That's just a me thing.
And I know they had, I guess they always have to have some Avenger character appearing in these movies. So they picked the Hulk this time. He drew the short straw this time.
I thought, okay. Yeah, you go.
It's just redundant where another woman gets near him with mind control powers and sets him loose to destroy stuff.
Yeah, that's true. That did feel a little redundant. I was going to say, I like the Hulk's design in this movie. He kind of looks like the one from the comics. With that disgusting kind of hammerhead-like, the hammerhead, the villain, kind of forehead that's protruding out. Just how he was in his first appearance.
Well, I think they were trying to go for a Grey Hulk look. That's why the room looked really dark, try to hide the green.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they want to introduce the Grey Hulk because all those different Hulk personalities are just stupid, but...
Mr. Joe Fix-It, right?
Yeah. Well, I think there's Grey Hulk, Joe Fix-It, Professor Hulk...
Boy, Hulk fans are just catching L's still. They're all these years.
Yeah, he gets lit up by Punisher. He almost gets beaten by Spider-Man.
Well, to be fair, Spider-Man is pretty powerful. Maybe not this Tom Holland version, but Spider-Man is pretty powerful.
Yeah, but Hulk just keeps catching L after L. Loses to Thor, loses to Thanos, almost loses to Spider-Man.
Essentially loses his arm temporarily. Gets
rough,
punked
buddy.
on by She-Hulk.
Oof.
Throw in the towel, man.
His role wasn't bad in the movie, but again, this is probably knowing too much about Spider-Man, but that kind of conversation he had about controlling himself, that'd be more of an appropriate conversation for Kurt Connors, but they have to have some Avengers character movie, so they throw in the Hulk for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And again, he wasn't bad or anything, but it just didn't really feel necessary. Because he had maybe 10 minutes of screen time, probably 5 as Bruce Banner, another 5 as the Hulk.
Yeah, but to me, that doesn't matter because I don't really care for the Hulk, so I'm not like a Hulk fan that's demanding more. I could really care less about the Hulk.
Oh, it's not that I care so much. It just feels tacked on, like they're checking off a checklist for stuff they have to do for these Sony, Marvel, Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, Amy Pascal and Sony are just the worst.
Actually, they had 2 Avengers, Black Widow and the Hulk in this.
Yeah.
And to your point, too, they can't just have Spider-Man doing his own thing. They have to have all these different crossover characters.
Yeah, that's the only kind of thing I didn't like. And at this point, that's never going to happen. Spider-Man's always going to be teamed up with somebody, at least for a little bit in the movie. It's just how things are now.
And it's a shame because, like you mentioned, one of the best scenes of the movie was MJ not breaking up with him, but telling him to leave her alone, sort of. And then when he was hanging out with Ned, his former best friend, was kind of nice.
Yeah.
Doing normal Peter Parker Spider-Man things, not the crossover stuff.
Yeah. I thought that was all well done. The character drama was well done.
I agree. I guess speaking of unnecessary crossover characters, how would you think about Black Widow?
What did she even reveal, really, in the movie? He went to her for not... I forget what it was.
To be honest, I don't remember what he was asking about. Was it asking about VMAX or something?
Yeah, because we find out that essentially no one knew what VMAX was until Jean Grey is in that same container room that her sister was, and she looks up, and it's the label peeled off on VentMax, and the peel was on the ENT, so that's how she could escape. It was like a clue she left behind before she died. So really, him going to Yelena was nebulous. One, it led to nothing, because she didn't do absolutely anything in the movie. And I just don't know what it is with Marvel just forcing her down your throat. Again, I'm not the demographic for Yelena. I think she's just incredibly lame. And when you're on the Thunderbolts, where she is essentially the weakest person on that team, by far.
Just like the first Black Widow.
Yeah, well, exactly. Even Hawkeye's more dangerous than her. But at least Hawkeye is closer to Yelena. What's her name? Ghost? She is so much more useful by a wide amount compared to Yelena. What's she gonna do to John Walker, who's essentially a Captain America? I don't know. I don't like Yelena being forced down our throats.
Not just that for me, but I just think the Thunderbolts are just so lame.
But you like the movie, though.
The movie, yes, but I think as a team, if they were just their own separate team, it wouldn't be that bad. But they call themselves the Avengers with the Z, the premier the world's premier superhero fighting team, and there's a bunch of people who shoot stuff.
Yeah,
that's probably the reason why I think Punisher is lame with these huge superhero movies. Everyone can do cool powers, shoot stuff, swing webs. Thor's got his hammer, all these other
super
cool
strength,
powers.
Can shoot.
And this guy just shoots people.
Optic
Guy can shoot
lasers
people.
out your eyes.
Yeah, he just shoots people. The guy can shoot people.
In a video game.
Yes, in Minecraft. If it's something I can do, it's not all that cool anymore. That's why these fantastic. Oh, Iron Man can make these suits. He's so smart. He can make this impossible technology.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, shooting people? Okay, well, anyone can do that.
Oh, she jumps around with sticks and beats people and shoots people. Oh,
I
could do that.
I watch cop videos of people doing that.
But yeah, I'm sick of Yelena, and we're gonna get more of her for Doomsday, unfortunately. So God help me. Trying to think of stuff that I didn't like, because yes, I can agree that it was a little overstuffed. I thought it was just a little bit too long, but my usual complaints about either superhero movies or the other two Spider-Man movies, I don't really have them for this. I wasn't annoyed like how I was annoyed with Mysterio, who I thought was horrible in No Way, whatever, Far From Home, whatever that dumb name is. Because let's talk about his villains in the MCU so far. Vulture, who is an Iron Man villain, but I could at least understand him more. He made more sense. I thought he was a good fight for Peter. Mysterio is completely inexcusable because he is, one, a Tony Stark villain, and two, he is still holding a grudge against the very same person who sacrificed his life to return half of all life. The fact that he still had a grudge against this guy for just taking his technology and naming it Barf is the dumbest thing I have ever seen. He has no motivation, and that's why I strike that movie down, because that is just such a terrible oversight, and it makes no sense, his motivation at all. I hate it. And then No Way Home was just a nostalgia tickle fest, so...
Trying to take the villains from other movies, like staple it onto his villains, and hopefully you get the same motivation. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, and risking everything to complete strangers who you don't even kill, and you have no connection to it. Because I remember when we saw it, they tried to relate that to something Aunt May said about just helping people in need or whatever, but Spider-Man 1 doesn't kill them in those movies, or doesn't kill them in battle. They die, but they don't die by his hands. They're supervillains, and we don't know what happens after he cures them, because they got pulled out of the moment right before they died. So they're just going to have a soft realization, oh yeah, I'm cured, and Norman gets impaled.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just that it's so stupid. Oh God, for this they just stripped away a lot of the mediocrity and the stupidity from the other movies, and it's a mostly really good result. My other negative too is that the music was kind of flat in this movie, and usually Michael Giacchino is a reliable composer, but this score just felt kind of generic. And usually if there's a score from a movie that I like, I can kind of remember some of the musical stings, and I don't remember anything about this music in the movie.
I don't either.
It felt by the numbers.
I remember there was, I don't know if I was just paying attention more, but there was, I think, a number of scenes where just no music was playing.
Yeah, which can be fine, but I'm just saying when there was music, I just thought it was just so forgettable. Nothing will ever match the Raimi soundtrack, where they had the responsibility motif, which is so great. Nothing can ever match that at all.
I mean, the whole trilogy, it's unmatchable.
Yeah.
It's goated. But I wanted to talk about how a big part of this movie is how being alone is bad. And I get it that everybody forgot that who he was. But at some point, people do move on. I mean, yeah, it's annoying to lose your friends, and I know your family's basically dead, but at some point you kind of have to move on, because I know he was trying to get over the loss of his friends, but he was just stalking them on social media, which is of course only going to make it 10 times worse. And the other characters too don't really help with that, getting over the loneliness. Like, he teams up with Punisher, another psychopath weirdo who isolates himself. And if they wanted to touch upon that, I think they would have had more scenes with the Elena instead of any other character, because the whole point of Thunderbolts was like, as she hated her job and how she was lonely and she wanted to do something better with her life. I think she would have been a better character to interact with Peter versus the Hulk or the Punisher.
Well, she's also kind of a psychopath, so they all
True,
are.
but she at least can relate to how he's feeling versus the Punisher, who's just some psycho with a gun.
Yeah, is some cold-blooded killer openly
And
says,
Hulk,
"Let me shoot this child."
and shoots him.
Yeah, yeah. Which we'll talk about in a little bit too. I thought that was incredibly lame.
Because I know they were trying to make the point that he needs to bring people back into his life, and it's not a bad story to tell. I just wonder how well they executed it. Because the villain, Jean Grey, she's not really bringing people back into her life. She's just out for revenge. It doesn't really contribute to the overall story. It kind of clashes with Spider-Man's.
Well, you said the ending was kind of reminiscent of the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, and Thunderbolts did the ending much better, but essentially both endings were, I need to help this person to stop being bad and be good again. Except for the Sentry, he was given drugs and had this evil part of him take over. And this one was the person consciously being bad, and they were captured, and she was about to kill a bunch of people for capturing her. It doesn't really feel the same. He's trying to reach out to save her, say it's not all bad, because what does it really show her that, besides taking a bullet for her, she really has no reason to not want to get revenge. They still killed her sister. They still captured her and tortured her. Doesn't really change that. Versus the Thunderbolts ending was trying to give Bob a family and bring him back to the real world. Stop giving into the despair of the void. Granted, I haven't seen the movie since last year, so I could be missing some details, but
well, it was all about them getting out of that dark spot that they kept on finding themselves in mentally.
Very visual and literal.
A little too literal in the Thunderbolts case.
That's why for this one, that's why I don't see myself loving it as much. It's not bad by any means, but it's not great, at least for me.
I guess my expectations were lower because I kind of figured it would get the same kind of critical response as the other two, because surprisingly, they both have like 90% plus on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, of course, people only use Rotten Tomatoes when it supports their argument, and there's always that meme where if it's a negative reception critically, positive audience response, oh, the audience knows what's up. Vice versa, oh, what do the critics know? I don't know. Well, I'm just saying that they both were, the past two were positively received, and I just don't see how, because I thought both those ones were kind of bad, especially Far From Home. I thought that one was pretty bad. Your villain should not have a nebulous kind of motivation. Him being angry at Tony Stark makes no sense. He just seems like a guy who's seething in the corner.
Petulant child.
Yeah. Like, how
also
ungrateful is that person?
Also embarrassing when you're a 40-year-old man acting like that.
Yeah. It's not like you're hating on some guy who ruined your life. And maybe you could say Stark did that, but then Stark saved half of all life, not just on Earth, but everywhere. How could you hate that guy? That is
And
the most selfless act ever.
And it's not like Baron Zemo in Civil War, who was upset that a building was dropped on his family. Relatable, because I'm pretty sure I think in the Falcon Winter Soldier show, even though he was upset with the Avengers stopping him, he still had respect for Captain America. Whereas he was someone who, even though he was bad, could at least be more realistic at how he perceives the world versus Mysterio, who was like a cartoon character.
Yeah. And then again, No Way Home was just some nostalgia tickle fest. Well, I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, if I'm being honest.
For me, not as much, but I've basically killed off my Spider-Man fan inside of me because I know I'm never going to get anything good ever again.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I've come to peace with it.
Acceptance is the final stage of in grief, right?
Granted, it's been a very long process. It's basically started with The Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun to release those videos. And I think we should do the Tom Holland movies too. Because I think I would still put this one after Homecoming, because I thought Homecoming, even though it's latched on to Tony Stark, I thought that one was pretty good.
Yeah.
That one also felt like a step in the right direction before those two sequels came out. But this one does feel like a kind of a course correction. I can't tell you how much I hated the Mr. Stark and his just him being latched to Stark like a tumor. I hated it so much.
I know this seems like a whiplash, but I just thought about this now. It's kind of crazy Yelena calling Spider-Man small potatoes when he literally fought Thanos on an alien planet for the fate of the universe.
Yeah, that's true. She's kind of talking down to him.
And it's kind of crazy because all you do is shoot people.
Yeah, Spider-Man literally fought Thanos.
And didn't die.
On Titan.
And he fought the Black Order as well. He saved Iron Man from Cull Obsidian.
Yeah, he fought in the Endgame battle too, even though that was just a generic CGI army versus another CGI army.
And
he still fought in it. Yeah. What is this talking down to Spider-Man?
Yeah, belittling him.
Yeah, what is up with that? He has done so much more big potatoes than you helping a guy with mental health issues. Like, he fought Thanos for the fate of the universe, and then he fought Thanos again. Or at least he participated in that final battle.
And you're calling him small potatoes.
Yeah.
Didn't he also save the world by himself too when granted he also caused Mysterio, but he also stopped Mysterio from using the Stark stuff to kill a bunch of people or whatever the stupid plan was?
Yeah.
He saved New York by himself. She's talking down to him. I know this has nothing to do with the story, but I hate when these characters do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because you as the audience, how are you talking down to him? He actually has powers. He's participated in battles to save the universe. He's had some ideas in helping people. He saved Doctor Strange from being tortured by Ebony Maw. And this person who shoots people, just like the Punisher, is talking down to him. Rubs me the wrong way.
I just want a scene where when Yelena starts saying that garbage to Spider-Man, he just shuts her up and he just talks down to her. He says, "You listen here. I've done X, Y, and Z. Well, you murdered some girl in the woods. I don't have to take this from you."
Remember in Civil War when
straight.
Spider-Man beat Bucky and Falcon pretty easily and he was in high school?
Yeah. He could have killed them. Remember they threw a sign at him and he threw it right back.
Hey, buddy, I think you lost this.
Next time she says that, Spider-Man, you just set her straight.
And she doesn't demand the respect that Captain America does, being a war hero and leading the premier team of actual heroes, not a bunch of assassins.
Yeah.
I digress.
That's, again, I just hate them trying to make you think Yelena's cool, and they're just shoving her down your throat.
So how's that Young Avengers team coming along?
They're all 30.
So another thing about this movie is that I guess they're beating you over the head with characters being monsters, but I don't think that works with Spider-Man because yes, he's being an isolated weirdo and detaching from society that he's actively saving, but he himself is not really a monster, and they kept trying to say the word he feels like a monster, he acts like a monster, and I don't know where that's really coming from. If Hulk were to say that, I understand. Even Punisher, I understand because he acts so inhuman, but Spider-Man acting like he's a monster, he keeps referring to himself in non-human way.
I guess it's because when he was changing, he was acting out of character and he was crossing, even if the line seems insignificant, where he's not killing somebody, but even he could recognize that he crossed a line where he was just beating up the Scorpion. That kind of a chuckle out of me.
How's the guy not dead?
Just beating him to a pulp. But I think that's what his mentality was, because he just didn't want to cross that line, even if it seems insignificant. Like really roughing up a criminal he doesn't want to do.
But it's also the way, I guess, his body starts mutating out of nowhere. He acts like he's this monster all of a sudden. I know what you're saying too, but it just felt forced a little bit.
I didn't mind it. I guess if I like something a little bit, I give it more of a pass. Now, if this is something like the Odyssey was doing this nonsense, I'd probably be more strict. But yeah, that's when it's a little overstuffed with a lot of ideas.
I know you mentioned cameos. I remember I made a joke to you while we we're watching the movie about the hand, how the hand fight in this versus you watch Daredevil. Daredevil, they're so lame.
Oh, this was cool. They were jumping on top of each other. This is so awesome.
Yeah, to get the Spider-Man. This was actually cool. If they fought like this against Daredevil, granted they would have murdered him, but it at least would have been cool.
Yeah.
Versus Daredevil, they're just a bunch of guys with swinging nunchucks around and just incredibly lame. This is actually cool.
Yeah, that's why this movie just feels like a kind of a course correction for a lot of stuff, which I like, because I was not a fan of their other stuff, really. But speaking of which, do you want to jump to some MCU stuff real quick for a little bit?
I guess.
So they announced that Ryan Gosling is going to be the new Ghost Rider, which I think I have underestimated Ryan Gosling too many times. So I think he is a good enough actor where he could pull it off. We still have to see how it turns out, obviously, but
Or if it
remains
gets
to be
made.
seen. Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. With Blade officially got canceled. I'm not a fan of the director Sean Levy, who did Deadpool and Wolverine. I've seen a lot of people say this too, where he's like Mr. Bland, where his movies will get done, but are they even that well shot, well lit, whatever? He just does things on time, I guess, and he's reliable in a way. So is it going to be a bland Ghostbuster? Or no, Ghostbuster? Ghost Rider? We'll see.
I mean, I trust him. Part of that is because I loved Project Hail Mary, so I guess I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
I will not doubt Ryan Gosling. And of course, the movie I'm kind of looking forward to, well, I don't want to say looking forward to in a curiosity kind of sick way, is Doomsday. We got a trailer 2 weeks ago, I think, and I don't know how I feel about it, so I don't know, Craig. I think Doomsday has a lot of hurdles to overcome, and I don't think they're gonna overcome a whole lot of them. I would love to be proven wrong, but knowing Marvel's track record, that's not Spider-Man, I don't know.
Like I mentioned before, I think they are starting to steer the ship in the right direction when it comes to the movies that they make. Fantastic Four was better. Thunderbolts was better. Yeah, Brave New World was trash, but...
Well, that was reshot like 3 times.
Yes, but at the very least, it's steering in the right direction. Sure, you have a miss here and there, but at least things are getting better. So I'm not entirely hopeless for this one, but the other fear is, for some reason, Kevin Feige said there was no build-up to Thanos in Infinity War, and
yeah, he did say that. What a schmuck.
he thinks like we're so stupid that we don't remember what happened. I remember Thanos being built up before Infinity War. He caused the Avengers to form indirectly by sending Loki. He was a major force in the formation of the Guardians getting formed. He was tied to a bunch of movies, tons of teases. So technically that was only his first, actually that was his second main appearance because he appeared in Guardians 1, but he was built up ahead of time.
And I guess Kevin Feige's thinking built up means like physically appearing in another movie as a main villain, like probably what they're trying to do with Kang. But the problem you run into with that is if you introduce Kang, who to my knowledge, I never saw Loki, he got beaten in Loki and he got beaten in Ant-Man. So that's 2 variants that got beaten already. And Thanos was shown at the very end of the first Avengers movie. His presence was always there. Doctor Doom has no presence. This is the first time we have seen him at all. At least with Thanos. You'd be lying if you said this is the first time we've seen him in Infinity War. You'd be a
And
liar.
some schmuck is going to say there was that tease in Fantastic Four First Steps, and that's not good enough. We
No.
actually physically saw Thanos in the Avengers movie, the end credit scene. We saw him in Age of Ultron, Guardians. We knew he was coming. And we saw his ship in Thor Ragnarok. We knew he was
At the
coming.
very end, yes.
And the trailer was a lot of generic Doctor Doom is coming, Thor saying the worst thing we've ever seen, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I don't know, man. How many times can you keep saying this? It's the newest, greatest threat.
Well, I have seen the leaks, and I'm not going to say any of the leaks in case anyone's listening. I don't want to spoil that for anybody because reading a leak is different than spoiling a movie after seeing it, like what we're doing. So the leaks look pretty accurate from what I've seen from the trailer, which is very worrisome. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, and I won't go into too much in other stuff. Is it just me, or is there more characters in this movie than there were in Infinity War?
I was thinking that same thing. Because at least Infinity War, they have built up all those characters a lot beforehand. Because Captain America in Infinity War, for example, is almost an afterthought. Because it's not about him. Thor had a big plot line. Iron Man had a plot line. Gamora did. Even Quill. So their teams didn't feel like they were that big in Infinity War. This one just feels... Because, well, what? We got the new Avengers. We got that fraud Sam Wilson. Thor's back. You got Cap. You got the Wakandans. You got the Atlanteans. Well, I don't think they're called Atlanteans in the MCU. You got... who else? You got the X-Men from the Fox movies. Got Ant-Man back. I don't know.
it feels so disconnected. I know not every character has met.
Fantastic
Actually, most
Four.
of them haven't met. Yeah, because I know in Infinity War, I say, well, most of these characters didn't meet before. Sure, but they knew somebody who met them. And the big crossover was the Avengers and the Guardians meeting up. Versus this is two different Avengers team, an X-Men team, the Fantastic Four team, Black Panther, Shuri, whatever, and then Namor.
I hope for one thing, Craig. I would love to see all the heroes. This is not going to happen. This is even not even taking into account the leaks. I just want to see all of our heroes fight a lone Doctor Doom. That's all I ever want. I want all the heroes to fight the main villain. And so you can see how strong that this guy is 1v30 or whatever it is. That'd be so awesome. Like, even in Marvel to Alliance, it's always a 1v4. And Doctor Doom in the first Marvel to Alliance movie was pretty tough. The first Marvel to Alliance game was pretty tough. But it's like a 1v4. I hate just the constant, because all the Avengers movies, I'll give Infinity War a pass. And I'll even give the first one a pass. It just comes down to they fight a faceless CGI army, and I'm sick of it.
Well, in Infinity War, they did have us. How many were fighting Thanos and Titan? Like 6 of them?
No, that's why I said Infinity War gets a pass.
Well,
I
I wouldn't say pass because they actually did it.
Yeah, but no, they fought Thanos, but they also fought an army on Wakanda.
Yeah.
But I'll give that a pass, because that was like them just trying to fetch the stones. There was a purpose, kind of. It was inexcusable in Endgame. I know they wanted everybody back, but I thought it would have been so much cooler if they're all fighting alone Thanos.
I would have liked if it was just the original 6 fighting Thanos. See them at their best.
That'd be better. But so please, everybody just fight Doctor Doom so we can see how strong he is. But
He's so chaotic.
I guarantee you, yeah, it'll be a mess probably. Is this going to be army versus army again? But that's my wish list for Doomsday. Is it going to be good? I hope so. I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't want it to fail. I'm not one of those people who say death to the MCU. No, I would genuinely like to see a good movie, a good Avengers movie, because the Russo brothers do well with Marvel, because everything else they've done outside of Marvel has been horrible. So they're back. I'm not a fan of the Michael Waldron being a writer. I'm not a fan of that, but we'll have to see.
So no build up to Doctor Doom. That's
Which
I
is
think
a
most people's
big
concern.
Yeah.
And the other thing is they're basing it off the Infinity storyline, or not the Infinity. There was it's basing off a storyline from the comics where they were dealing with multiversal incursions where universes are colliding with each other and everyone dies. And at some point it just becomes universes colliding with each other. When you start getting into Infinity War was the universe. Now it's universes are at stake. How much bigger can you make the stakes before it becomes just who cares at this point?
And I did see Feige said that Doomsday and then Secret Wars will be the only two Avengers or only two Marvel movies released. There won't be any movies released in between at all, which I think is a wise decision.
Because I know in between Infinity War and Endgame they had Captain Marvel, which was such a bad time.
Ant-Man and Captain Marvel.
Ant-Man wasn't a problem because his storyline was separate, but Captain Marvel was more inexcusable because...
Well, his storyline also set up the quantum realm, so it was kind of important.
Yeah, it tied into it, but Captain Marvel just shows up in Endgame for some reason.
Yeah, hers is more disconnected because it takes place in 1995.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel right when she shows up at the end and is shoehorned in. When all these other characters, we've had so many movies and appearances.
Kevin Feige said Thanos had no build-up. Captain Marvel had no build-up. Blade got canceled, and they announced a new guy to take over Black Panther, who's going to be playing T'Challa's son. So whenever, I think 2028 is when Black Panther 3 is going to come out, so that one's going to be taking place like 20 years after Wakanda Forever, because this guy that they cast is 30-something.
See, I was wondering that too. His son appears in, I think,
the end of the second one.
So how much time passes? I'm assuming they're just going to sit there and say, oh, everything reset. Who cares? He's T'Challa now, whatever.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Unless they give him like an herb that just ages him by 30 years. I guess they don't like Shuri enough to be Black Panther, so I don't know. I didn't see the second one.
I don't like the actress.
Yeah. Sure. But yeah, we have Doomsday to look forward to this year, which I think will be a fun review. And I'll try to get that done the weekend it comes out. So if we see it on a Friday, I'll try to get that done by Sunday. So I am looking forward to Doomsday, though. And like you said a little bit before, that Marvel has course corrected a little bit and things are looking to be in the right direction, because we thought the Thunderbolts was good. I like the Fantastic Four. Is this the first Marvel movie this year?
I think so.
Was there? I don't think it was.
Yeah, it was because the last one
Okay.
was Fantastic Four.
Okay. So
There's probably
yeah.
been TV shows. Yeah, we saw Daredevil. There's the Punisher
Oh,
special.
I was thinking of Daredevil then. Okay. Yeah, we did talk about Daredevil. So yeah, for the movies though, they are turning in the right direction. So fingers crossed for Doomsday. I think it'll probably be mid, but we'll have to see. But going back to Spider-Man, do you have any final thoughts for Spider-Man, Craig? Brand new day?
It's fine. I'm happy they didn't adapt the comic it was based on. I think everyone was happy about that.
I never read that comic.
Well, that's the one where he trades away his marriage to save his
Oh, Aunt
Aunt
May.
May from dying.
So he makes a deal with Mephisto.
Yeah, I think it's the story after that. No one liked it.
Well, before we end this, I would like to say, I know Venom's in the MCU, so imagine they do like an anti-Venom. That'd be kind of cool. But then you gotta introduce Venom first, though, because it'd be kind of weird if anti-Venom shows up without a Venom.
Well, they made a Venom movie without Spider-Man, so
That's true. I enjoyed it. I was surprised that I enjoyed it. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say about Spider-Man Brand New Day. It's going to be a massive, massive hit. It'll probably blow the Odyssey out of the water. So, and before we end this, I think this will gross more money than Doomsday. I don't think Doomsday is going to be a big hit like they think it is. They'll probably make $1 billion, but I don't think it's going to be a hit, at least in their sense, money-wise, like making their money back. Because the break-even point for this thing is probably ridiculous for Doomsday.
well, it's their own fault for paying one guy $100 million.
Well, that's true. But with all that being said, though, Craig, this has been the Unbiased Opinion, where everyone's opinion is biased except ours. I'm Colin.
Craig.
And we will see you next time.
How about green meanie?